Welcome back to the New Equity Network show. I'm Michael Yorba, your host, co-host Ed Baxter. We have in-studio guest Michael Hanberry, CEO, BTJ Consulting. All right, Ed, you had a couple of questions that we were talking about on the break you want to bring out here today.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that stands out from an investment standpoint, I spent my entire career in the investment industry. I always wanted to make sure that in the portfolios we had something that was stable or strong or something that represented what I call the John Deere of the portfolio. In other words, it does the heavy plowing, it does the heavy lifting. It helps the portfolio in times of movement of asset prices, whether it's real estate or whether it's actually stocks or bonds or something else, because they have a lot more volatility than maybe some portfolios can stand. So what I would ask Mike is, tell me how the royalty income that comes from an overriding royalty interest acts as the John Deere of a portfolio.
Well, again, I think we talked about overriding royalty and royalty. You know, you always prefer to have the royalty rather than the overriding royalty. But, you know, again, there's no cash calls from royalty interest. There's no drilling expenses for the royalty owner. This is, you know, on the level of an annuity where the municipalities or CFOs would put it in their 401ks because it's that strong and it continues to grow. And again, they don't start out sexy, but they steamroll past drilling projects because drilling projects will come on with a lot of risk and a lot of capital calls and things of that nature. But they'll still make, you know, phenomenal money if they hit them. Okay, coming out of the chute, maybe, you know, 60, 70, 80% annual return. You get down into the second year, you're half that, you know, and then as it moves off and it falls into what they call a sustained rate of production, all of a sudden here comes the royalty, which you started out with 12 wells, but you had 100 wells to drill. So, you know, as you got 12 and 24 and 48 of those 100 wells, all of a sudden you're double and tripling your production. You started out at 5%, now you're at 10 and then 20 and then, you know, maybe 30 or 40%. And that's without the price of oil changing. Well, if you turn around and double the price of oil, because it's going to go up and down like an annuity with the price of oil, all of a sudden you're looking at an 80%, and this is just mailbox money, okay, with no liability. The operator handles all the liability on the surface, whereas, you know, you're jointing several on a drilling project. Now, you've got 6 layers of insurance on that side of the ball, but so there's still shouldn't be that much concern unless your operator flakes on you. But these are multi-billion-dollar publicly traded companies that are operating the properties that we're looking at. And so, you know, they're able to take care of their own. They're as professional as they come. And the only people, if they decide to move on, they could pick up the property would be another major. So that's another side or safety net that you would have on the projects that we're looking at on royalty.
So would you argue that having that particular investment, as far as energy is concerned, represents the safest form of investment in that area?
In the oil and gas sector, you know, they're risk all the way from less risky to there's still always a risk. I mean, even in a royalty package, look at it like this. Let's say you come on and you've got 12. Operator leaves. Another operator doesn't want to pick it up for 10 more years. So you're sitting on something that is depreciating, you think, in value. Okay, you've got the deed in your hand. It's never going away. You can give it to your grandkids. So even in royalty, there's some risk. So don't let anybody tell you there's not. It might be the least risky place to be. But let's say oil goes down in price to $30 a barrel and they never drilled another well. They said they were going to drill 100 more, and the guy just bails and none of the other majors want to pick it up. There's risk there. But again, I'm looking for, you know, the multi-billion-dollar company that's contracted to drill 17 more. He's got 8 online, 4 been drilled. They're coming online. He's contracted to drill at least 17 more, but he's got 100 locations. I don't see that one going anywhere.
All right. There's differences in the tax benefits between these different types of projects that you're talking about. Walk us through your knowledge base of the difference in a tax benefit, but say a drilling project or a royalty project, things that you're working on.
That's a really good question. And, you know, most of the folks that are here, you know, again, they're here for the income because it's much greater than anything else they're doing in their portfolio. Those types of, you know, monthly income or returns are generally only found in my industry. There's lots of other places you can, but you got to look long and hard. You know it's here in the oil industry. Or the tax benefits, which are on a drilling deal, it's 100% tax deductible. Now, you know, there's tangible and intangible. The tangible has to be like amortized over, you know, 5 years or 60 months, like any equipment that you would purchase on a farm, for instance, you can take it. It's a tax deductible over time. But the intangible is 100% tax deductible in the first year. And if you don't lose it, or you don't lose it if you don't use it, but you guys need to look at and talk to your CPAs about how to best benefit your situation. But the investment is 100% tax deductible due to the drilling cost. And it's 15% of the income is tax-free income as well. So it's an additional benefit. So a guy, for instance, that drilled in the middle of an already known proven oil field, we find a really good project, we're comfortable, we're going to hit the wells. We get in there, we start hitting wells. He's taken the first year, let's say he made a $100,000 investment, and he's in a 35% tax bracket. 35% of that well was paid for by the government over time, the majority of it up front the first year. However, you go into a royalty deal, and you're looking at, 15% tax-free income. That's it. You don't pay any, drilling costs. You don't have any cash calls. So, but you're still going to get 15% tax-free income from that property, which, of course, if you're in California, New York, that makes up a lot of money. If you got $1 million in a royalty program, for instance, or $30 million in a royalty program, 15% is a lot of money.
Mike, in the past, when I've looked at oil deals or I've had family members look at oil deals, typically we were approached by someone who had a deal, put it together, promoted it, and so on. In today's world, obviously the removal of hydrocarbons is much more complicated. Talk to me why it's important to have someone in our corner like BTJ to help us make informed decisions about the process.
Well, not just BTJ. With BTJ comes a multitude of engineers and geologists, scientists that have spent their whole life basically with whether their acumen is in geology or geophysical, or whether it's petroleum engineer from A&M that's been out there for 45 years in the field. The different companies that we work with, we're getting real answers. These guys aren't salesmen, okay? And what we do is we work real hard to make sure that we have, the right teams around us that are giving us the right answers to direct questions that sometimes the individual investor just frankly doesn't know the industry and doesn't know what to ask. And so we make sure we ask all the right questions, we get all the right information, and that it's not a sales pitch. And then we can turn around and help our partners or our clients get the answers that they needed. When we decide to get involved in a project, we've already done the due diligence and heavily scrutinized the project and made sure it wasn't over promoted. But all the science that goes into this, that's really all the answers that we're after before we ever decide to get involved. And then if we like it, we'll share it with our clients.
So would you argue that firms like BTJ would be advocates for oil and gas investors?
We are advocates, exactly, for oil and gas investors. It's a great sector, but you got to be careful. I mean, we've got guys that are, multi-billionaires just IPO'd in California on a new app of some type. They're really, really smart and they're really good at what they do, but they're smart enough to know that you can lose $1 million and get your teeth kicked in a hurry in the oil business. And being smart's a good thing. And so they're smart enough to call a company like BTJ and say, hey, give me a shout. Call me back. I'd like to, save 50% of my tax dollars. I want to invest in some oil. I'm getting tired of getting my teeth kicked in by the tax man, but I don't want to just turn around and throw it away in the oil business. Can you help me? And that's what we're here for.
All right, Michael, thanks for being a guest on the show. Ed, great questions. I really appreciate that. But before we sign off, contact information for you. So if somebody has questions about the deal they're in, the deals that you're looking at, and, how the taxes can help them and how they can, keep their portfolio performing. I mean, obviously, crude is breaking to new highs. So it's going to get a lot of favor in most people's portfolio, not just individuals, but also institutions are now really warming up to the market. So how does somebody reach you, Michael?
We're at btjconsulting.com, or you can call us directly at 469-518-5008, and we'd be more than happy to see what we can do to help.
Okay, great. Thanks, Michael, for being on the show. I really appreciate the time. Ed, lots of great questions. I really appreciate your input on this one.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in to the New Equity Network show. We're glad to have you as our audience. If there's any questions or anything of that nature, you have guests that you think ought to be on the show, go ahead and give us a call and or go to our website, nens.biz. Click on the Contact Us button, and we'll see if we can get a good deal out here on the show for you. Thanks again for listening. Good luck, good trading. We'll talk to you soon.